let's get into our deep dive. 15th anniversary of Inception. I chose this one because it won no Pinos, and that made me mad. So we had to deep dive it to give it at least some recognition from this board. Let's talk Inception. I chose this one. This one is my number one of 2010. It is in my top 10 of all time. I didn't expect it to be there, but then I rewatched it when we were getting ready to do our top 100 of all time, and I just was like, no, this movie is just absolutely amazing, and I love all of it. It's Nolan before he got a little too weird, like Interstellar and Tenet. He goes a little too far, and I think what makes this one work so much better is it's so relatable. I mean, you're talking dreams. Everyone understands dreams. Everyone dreams. And yet at the heart of it, it's really about a man dealing with grief and another man dealing with the unreachable expectations of his father and trying to make his father proud of him. And yet you have this crazy sci-fi world you can be in, and it's dreams, so you can explore and break all the rules because it's a dream. You've got a hypnotic score that is just brilliant. You've got a story that has so many layers to it that I love how you watch it for the first time. You don't know everything, but you experience it all. And then each time you watch it, you can get something else out of it because there's another layer that you can peel back and see something new. And it's something where there's enough the first time around that hooks you that you're able to play with it and continue to want to come back to it, where Interstellar and Tenet just end up too confusing for you to care by the end of the first time through. I think all the characters are really interesting, especially Leonardo DiCaprio's character and what he does throughout this. I think it is the last hour of this are just like pure intensity and like sit on the edge of your seat. Like the climax of this movie is like an hour. It's like almost half the movie is the climax, and it just keeps going, and you don't care because you're riveted and in it the whole time. Every time I watch it, I'm just completely blown away by it, and I'm rediscovering stuff that I'd forgotten and finding new things that I never knew. And it's a movie that just keeps revealing more and more the more you watch it. And yet the whole thing, it comes down to, a paper wheelie thingy in a safe. And it's a modern day sci-fi rosebud in that sense. So Inception, there's just so much cool stuff going on in this movie. I just love it. Adam, I know you're probably the one that loves it the next most.
Yeah, I remember watching this back in the day in the theater and just being kind of with my brother actually watched it, and because he really wanted to watch it, and we went to the theater and just kind of blown away. It's a great parking lot discussion film about it. The top topples at the end of it, but watching it back, I hadn't seen it for several years now, and I remember this movie a lot more than I originally thought about it when we did our Pinot ballot. And I definitely think that, yeah, there probably could, if I would have watched it, I probably would have nominated in a few other little spots. And it is kind of a shame that maybe it didn't at least pick up one win at the Pinots in this year. But it is really entertaining as hell film. It's one of Nolan's first movie where he starts dealing with time in the because he does that with Inception, or no, not Inception. Yeah, Inception, Interstellar, Dunkirk to a certain extent as well, and in Tenet, all dealing with the time paradoxes and stuff like that too. But also Leonardo DiCaprio being one of my favorite actors, and just an all-star cast of actors that really, the toughest question here is, should it became something? They all kind of did. These actors all became something. Even where Tom Hardy got British breakout star for 2009 because of all the movies because of Inception was part I believe it was a BAFTA award or something like that. he got recognized for that. But this is a fantastic film. I rewatching it now. It's like this is really it's fun and entertaining as hell movie, and beautiful like characters here too, and just a really fun time. And just really, again, I shame on me for not maybe rating like Cotillard and even the Ken Watanabe, like all those characters. They could have had some nominations, at least mentions in supporting categories, but totally forgot that Cillian Murphy was in this movie as well. So kind of the forgotten piece of the movie, but one of also Nolan's biggest collaborators as well. So, but good,
right.
fun film. So glad we're deep diving it.
You had it at 3.5 stars. Are you holding at that?
I think it's a 4-star movie actually after watching it.
Well, Zach, you have it on the website as a 4-star movie. Are you holding to that after rewatching it?
Well, I need to go through this episode before I determine really what I do with it, because on the one hand, I do admire the movie a lot, and I voted for it for Pino's. And on the other hand, Todd has it at 43, and maybe I can see a little bit about what he's saying. I think it's important that we remember what it was like in 2010 seeing this movie. It came out right in the middle of the summer, and no one was hotter than Christopher Nolan. I mean, this was on the heels of The Dark Knight getting shafted by the Oscars, and this was maybe going to be the movie that finally would break through with the 10 nominees. Finally, we'd get recognition for a summer blockbuster that actually had a brain. And it was a blast seeing in theaters. I mean, I remember seeing it opening night. I feel like we all texted about it, and it was a huge cinematic event. Watching the movie today, it kind of makes me miss those sort of things because they don't really exist anymore. We have big movies, but certainly not the way that it was sort of a cultural event, at least among the movie-going populace back in summer 2010. I think another thing to remember is that this did kind of have a breakthrough at the Oscars. It won a shit ton of Oscars. It was probably never going to win Best Picture, but it won a lot of technical awards. It got a lot of nominations, and it had some pretty staunch defenders, and it's certainly better than The King's Speech. In a way, it's a little similar to when we deep dove The Social Network a couple weeks ago. If you put yourself in that 2010 mindset, yes, it's absolutely a 4-star movie. It was a great cinematic experience if you're living in that moment. I think now, looking back on it, I mean, fortunately, we don't have to bring Mark Zuckerberg or Elon Musk or any of those people into the conversation, even though you guys interestingly listed them in your trivia answers. But I do feel like this movie slides a little bit for me. Because I hadn't really sat through the whole thing. I remembered parts of it that were great, and they still were great. I think the end is great in this movie. I think the buildup is really, really cool. I like the first 35 minutes of this movie a lot. I think there's some visual stuff in this movie that's awesome. I think there's some aspects of Leo's performance that's still very good. It's unquestionably a thumbs up movie. Does it deserve to be a Best Picture nominee? Is it one of the real 10 best movies of that year? Is it in the top 10 of all time, like Jared says? I'm not so sure about that. One of the things that I kind of was thinking as I was watching it is, why does this movie get recognition where we don't really talk about The Adjustment Bureau or Live, Die, Repeat or Looper? I mean, those were movies that also came out at the same time that kind of did similar things, kind of heady, sci-fi, dystopian, big budget action movies, but no one really remembers them. And I'm not saying that they're necessarily derivatives of Inception, but I feel like put this movie directed by, the guy who did The Adjustment Bureau, take Christopher Nolan out, take Leo out, take Hans Zimmer out, and you probably have a movie that most people like, but certainly doesn't get the sort of Oscar recognition for. I think this movie is too long. It is confusing at times, but not in an irritating way necessarily like other Christopher Nolan movies did. I still like it. I mean, it's certainly one of his better movies. I couldn't have written this movie. I mean, it's a very heady movie. It goes into some real sort of existential questions. I think the movie has an internal battle, and the internal battle that this movie has, like a lot of movies, a lot of big budget summer movies, is between brains and brawn. I think this movie has some really interesting ideas in it. It's well written. It's well conceived. You can tell that Christopher Nolan spent a lot of time writing the script and thinking about the world of this movie. But then there's too much dumb shit in this movie. There are a lot of action scenes. There's a lot of gunfire in this movie. There's a lot of times where we cut to a different location completely and it feels like a video game. There's a lot of set pieces that kind of feel gratuitous. And for a movie that is supposed to be about the exploration of the inner subconscious, this movie opts for a lot of dumb shit when I think a smarter movie would have really posed more. The only real reason that we're in Leo's subconscious is because his wife died. I mean, there's not a whole lot more to that than the fact that his wife died. For a movie that's going to explore someone's brain, someone's inner being, I would like something a little bit more like Being John Malkovich or even the Paul Giamatti Soul movie. So maybe that's just a personal thing. Maybe again, give Charlie Kaufman this script and maybe it's a better movie or at least a more enriching movie for me. But it is still a good movie. I love, like I said, the last 5 minutes is just awesome, and everybody talks about that as an ending. And I think it's possible to read the movie as a metaphor on a lot of levels. So it's certainly superior to Oppenheimer and Tenet. I don't know if I'm as enthusiastic about it as Terry is.
Yeah, so in 2010, I remember going to see this. When I saw it, I didn't get it. Like, I mean, I didn't really understand it. I was like, I couldn't even explain it. So I went to go see it a second time, and I understood it. I understood the actual plot. At least I thought. I was reading the review I wrote on the website for it, and reading my review, I was getting confused reading my own review. It was like I was reading it like in Almost Famous when William's talking to Russell and he's like, I don't know, my dad had a heart attack, my sister thinks my mom's so intense, and now she's a stewardess. It's good to talk about. That's kind of what I felt reading my review. I was like, I was confused writing it. Probably I was confused reading it, but it was good to read it because I actually think I understood the movie more than I understood when I actually watched it. Now, watching it today or yesterday, whenever I watched it, was yesterday. It had been a long time. It had probably been 10 years, but I had seen it a decent amount, I think, because I remembered it pretty well. I still had the same drawbacks that makes it a 3-star movie and not higher. I compared in my review a lot to The Matrix, which another movie that I'm not the biggest fan of. It's like number 40 of 1999 for me, but similar to this movie. It's a movie with a lot of ideas. There are people that think it's the best movie ever made, and I'm not quite there. It's not really my kind of movie, I guess, and I don't understand it enough to appreciate it as much to put it that high. There is one thing I did notice watching it. I don't think I've ever actually seen the whole snow sequence. Like, I mean, I fell asleep watching it yesterday, and I remember falling asleep in the theater both times I watched it. I don't think I know what happens in the snow. And I'm just throwing that out there. I guess maybe I haven't seen the whole movie. I didn't have any questions about that sequence because I don't know. Fine. I was not awake. I think at that point is the problem is that it gets so deep into its own thing that nothing really matters. And I guess that's the critique that you guys had about The Usual Suspects a few weeks ago, was like, nothing, there's no consequence there, and you can't really believe anything because what you're watching doesn't really existing. And I think that I have my subconscious is saying that watching though when the dream gets that far deep into the levels that like nothing, there's no consequence anymore at all. And I think my brain is telling me that, and it just like shuts off. I think the movie's good. Like I said, it's my number 40 something of 2010. It's still entertaining to watch. It is pretty long. I like the first section a lot more than I like the middle to late sections. But yeah, it does have a pretty awesome ending. It's I was reminded a lot of Tenet watching it this time, which I have not seen. I hadn't seen this movie since Tenet, and there were some sequences I was like, okay, in Tenet he was redoing a lot of the stuff that he did in Inception with better technology probably now.
But in Inception, it just makes sense, because that's the other thing. I love the ending, the last hour, because it just turns into a caper movie too, like with the most elaborate heist there is. It's yeah.
In the snow,
I don't know. I think the thing is, like, everyone kind of has their Nolan movie they go to, and this has always been mine because I feel like it's the most accessible. It's the most understandable of his confusing sci-fi movies, that explore these places. I never fully understood what Interstellar was doing, especially when it got to the end. I never understood Tenet for a second. But this, I don't know. There's something, for some reason, on some level, I've always understood it, and I've always loved it because of it.
Well, that's because there's a lot of exposition in this movie. There's a lot of explaining in this movie.
True.
There's
you guys are saying the exposition is some of the best part.
I agree. Like the word, and I like the lingo of this movie. We get a kick. We have Mr. Charles. We have the totem. Like that's cool. The world building of this movie is the most interesting part of the movie, and I just don't know. Like it sets up to be something so great. And it does have moments of greatness. It shouldn't be an action movie, though, is the problem. Like, Todd's right. By the time you reach the snow sequence, I'm usually tapped out of this movie. I just stop caring. And it's like you have such a great premise and such a great... So I kind of wonder if Nolan also feels that way. I wonder if he was pressured by the studio to make it more of a conventional sort of action movie, because let's be honest, I mean, I want to know more about Leo's subconscious. I want to know more about his sexual fetishes with Marion Cotillard. Okay, maybe that's just a me thing, but like this movie could have gone.
There's no titular character in this one, Zach.
Well, she's French. I mean, come on, can we get a little bit more intellect in this movie that is so brainy? Another thing that I kind of noticed this time too, man, I mean, I like Marion Cotillard. She is so much in this movie though. And for a movie that is supposed to be about an inception and it's supposed to be about, the planting of the idea in Cillian Murphy's head, I was surprised at how much of that was sort of an afterthought of this movie. In fact, really, the climactic sequence of this movie is not when Cillian Murphy is on his dad's deathbed. It's when Leo is telling Marion Cotillard that he can't live with her anymore. It's kind of like, well, the movie's trying to merge the personal and sort of the professional, and it's kind of interesting. But man, can we kind of just stick to the story here? I think a little bit of Marion Cotillard goes a long way.
Well, but like I said, that the movie's about those two things. It's about two people that are grieving in different ways. You've got one that's trying to get over the death of his wife and realizing that he doesn't have to, potentially. And you've got one that doesn't know what to do with the death of his father because his father never appreciated him.
That's true, but then here's I'm gonna raise my hand here. This is the Zach Salt's problem with the movie, which is that, of course, Christopher Nolan is terrible with female characters, and Marion Cotillard is basically just crazy in the movie. Okay, she's a crazy woman that doesn't understand. She's hysterical. Great. And Ellen Page is asking all the questions. Great. I mean, those two are very one-dimensional characters, and I personally don't like that. If you want to give me a movie about their marriage, that's what I'm saying. Get more heady. Don't do the action sequences. But the point of that mission was about the inception. I don't know why we have all this back shit with Marion Cotillard. It's like, decide what movie you're making. That's what I mean. The movie is an internal struggle that I don't know if it ever fully reaches a compromise on. It wants to be an action movie, wants to be brainy. It doesn't, I think, quite execute the landing.
I think it's something where, every situation we bring our own baggage into it. But when you are dealing with being in people's subconsciouses, your baggage literally manifests itself in the middle of your scene, which I don't know. I just find that such a cool way of portraying it.
Yeah, it's cool. It's just too much of it. Again, the movie's overstuffed. The movie should be 2 hours and 5 minutes. I think you could take out 25 minutes of shit in this movie. I think it would help.
You could also add like an hour, and I would be riveted to the whole thing.
Add an hour in the first half. That's more the building of the world, I think, and less video game sequences. By the way, don't you guys feel like that's a video game sequence by the end of the movie? Maybe Adam can appreciate this. Every time they go to the snow level, it makes me think of 2010 and playing Star Wars Battlefront. There is a level on that game that looks exactly like the snow dream sequence in this
supposedly
movie.
he based that on Her Majesty's Secret Service, which also kind of looks like a video game.
Just to wrap up what we were talking about, I watched this movie and I couldn't help but feel like I looked like Leo in this movie.
Well, that is the subconscious reason why Todd absolutely.
That's why I changed my banner. My banner now says I'm Leo DiCaprio's hair double.
But that's the same in Tenet. That's the Robert Pattinson has that same hairdo, and
so I was nominated for 8 Oscars. I think we made the right choice. And 8 Pinots. It won at the Oscars. It won cinematography, which
Wally
is
Pfister.
which
He
is
thanked
fascinating.
he thanked his union crew. I remember that. It was a good speech. I applauded it.
Then sound editing, and visual effects were the wins, and then it was also nominated for picture, original screenplay, art direction, and score.
I remembered that Oscar ceremony for a second, thinking it would be cool if Inception won Best Picture. There was like a second when it was making its run of tech wins that you thought, it's not
That's
impossible.
why they edited it that way.
I know, but I'm just saying there was a second there when you thought, it's not
Like
inconceivable.
same as Mad Max Fury Road. It was never actually
Somewhat
going to win, but it would be
inconceivable in
pretty
that
cool.
Yeah.
Somewhat inconceivable because it didn't win or didn't even get nominated for
nominated.
director.
I feel like there was a couple times this Pinos. I think it went pretty well. I may have messed up a couple of my picks. Nominating Daft Punk for Tron, a fun like Daft Punk getting nominated, but cinematography for this movie should have been nominated. And that
Well, it got in the 61 Cheval Blanc for score and for Leo.
Yeah.
But
as we found out, it was not the most shut out above the line movie because that was The Messenger, and those were all actually submitted categories. 8.
That's true. So yeah, this had picture, actor, director, original screenplay, 2 61 Cheval Blancs, a best scene, and a best movie death.
You see,
we nominated a flashback movie death.
By the way, I had this other thought of the movie. What is the point of having a totem when every time he sees Maul, he knows he's in a dream? Like, does he really need to have a totem for that purpose? Maul's there. That's his totem.
He never in limbo for 50 years. I mean, his head's screwed up.
He never works with the top while he's seeing Maul. He works with it once he's back to make sure he's back.
I get that. I get what Todd said. I get that there's a temptation on his part to want to stay in limbo. What I don't understand is the scene like when he gets up from the dream and then spins it. It's like, no, Maul was there. You were dreaming that, asshole.
He also wouldn't shoot her when he saw her because his head's screwed up. He can't figure it out. So he needs that.
I think he spins it because did he actually wake up from the dream or is he still there? Because the dreams feel so real for him.
Maybe. I don't know. I just kind of thought I'd never had that thought before. I also thought it was kind of interesting when he says the line, you have what did he say? 2 minutes to draw a maze that I can't solve in 1 minute or something like that. And so instead, I like that's a nominee for favorite scene for me. And I liked how she starts all like line art and then gets circular. I think that's a good metaphor for Christopher Nolan's filmmaking. Like everybody's doing line art, horizontal, vertical, but he's doing circular. That was a profound point. I need some round of applause for that. Thank you.
Highest war. Todd, go first.
Tom Hardy. I wrote. I don't know that any of them are necessarily high war, but Hardy is one that he is kind of singular, and he's he's a beast, but he's also awesome, and he has fun. He has a cool sense of humor in this, so that's what I went with.
It's a big imagination.
Adam.
Marion Cotillard, I think.
Oh.
That was the hardest one for me to recast. I think when you think of that, for me anyway, when I think of that actress, I think of this movie and the performance here. Yes, it's kind of maybe like theatrical and more stage type of performance, but it's also just because it's a reflection of the guilt that Cobb has, and so it's kind of that it's needed to be that. And yeah, the lines that she says, I can't picture another actress really saying them, so that's why I would have to pick Cotillard for that.
I had down Tom Hardy as well, and I was trying to think of someone else, and I couldn't because it's Tom Hardy for the exact same reasons Todd said. Like as he was talking, like he's just so singular, and Todd's like, and I mean he's so singular in this, and like, dude, he's even using my words. So
what is going on?
Yeah, he extracted them from me. So Tom Hardy, that's my pick.
The idea.
I kind of want to go with Elon Musk's wife. I mean, that's blowing my mind right now. But I'm going to stick with what I said earlier. Pete Postlethwaite. Okay, worst performance?
Worst performance, Adam.
Elon Musk's wife. No,
good one.
It's Eames. No, but it's Eames as that person. So it's specifically bad. But I think that's the worst performance.
I like it. My worst performance is the kids on the phone.
Oh, yeah. It was some strange conversation.
It was a weird conversation, and yeah, it made it sound not real, which might have been the point. But
kids on the phone is never a good. What's a devil ray?
What's a devil ray? Exactly. That's kind of what I thought of as I was listening to it. Zach.
I'm going to go with Academy Award nominee Ken Watanabe. Now, when I saw this movie, I saw it with my friend Josh. Not the Josh who I'm now only beating a little bit more because of the Taekwon Thornton pass, but my friend Josh Willa, who made the astute observation that he didn't like, his criticism of the movie was that too much important dialogue was given to Ken Watanabe, who has such a thick accent that it was hard to decipher what he was saying. So again, I don't know if that's a bad performance. I've always sort of thought about that. I was watching the movie. Again, not Ken Watanabe's fault, but there are some times when maybe you got to flip on the subtitles a little bit. I don't know. And I don't fully believe him ever really throwing a grenade. I just don't know if I can really see that.
I mean, he only throws it when, he's on his deathbed, basically.
It would be kind of interesting, though, to have Elon, bring it back full circle. If Elon Musk is in this movie, he's obviously Saito, and he's a dick like Saito. I mean, he probably makes promises that he can't keep, and he wants to involve himself in the dream and throw grenades and shit.
Marion Cotillard's worst performance. She's so over the top in every scene. Like, it's just like, dude, just dial it down.
That's what
I mean, you don't need to take it to 11 on every single scene.
This one goes to 11.
Exactly.
Minor character triumvirate. I go first. Amazing Larry, Big Tim, High Roller. I'm going Pete Postlethwaite because he is amazing in this, in his little bit of screen time. His dream scenario on the deathbed. The Charlie Duke ticket taker movie maker, I'm gonna say is Maul, because if it wasn't for Cobb needing to do Inception on her, he would have never thought that Inception was possible for this mission. So Maul. And then Matt Damon, what movie are you in? I always thought there were a string of movies that
here's the game
that Christopher Nolan did where with Inception and then like Dark Knight Rises. I'm like, why is Marion Cotillard just having to pop up in these movies? And I mean, the character makes sense here, but it almost felt like at times like we're going to create a role so Marion Cotillard can be in the movie. So I'm going to say Marion Cotillard. And if it's not her, it's a freight train. What? Yeah. Why are you in this movie?
That's the freight train is a good one because they were surprised by that.
Should have been your douchebag pick at the Pinos.
Yeah, it should have been. Yeah, that's true. Okay, minor characters. We're going to go James and Philippa as my favorite minor characters. What caused this movie to happen? I think it was the architect, right? Because he was an idiot with a carpet. Maybe it should have been maybe Saito's carpet as the ticket taker movie maker, because without him recognizing the carpet, then the architect doesn't get blown up or whatever. I'm already lost. What's the third one? Stickman?
Matt Damon.
Matt Damon, what movie are you in? I mean, I don't know. It was kind of weird seeing Tom Berenger in this movie. He got old. I don't think I remembered that he was the only cast member that I didn't remember was in the movie, except for, I guess, Cillian Murphy, because I forgot.
My favorite minor character is Browning, the Tom Berenger character. He's kind of an important character, and I just think I could have watched him do more things, but he is only in the few things with Fisher. Matt Damon, what movie are you in? Tallulah Riley. Of course.
Her again.
I mean,
she's the star.
I didn't think we were going to talk about this. Dude, I mean, this movie there's the least amount of actual characters you can draw from since we did Glengarry Glen Ross. Like there's like 7 people you could talk about, and that's it. Nobody else have enough speaking lines.
It's just there's such a large cast, but then you're right. Once you get past that group, there's not much left.
Minor character caused the movie to happen is Nash, because he didn't know that Saito was going to rub his face on the carpet.
True.
Thank you.
Who rubbed his face on the carpet? You could say he was the one that caused it to happen.
Minor character. I'm going to go with Yusuf. I think that guy is. He's forgotten out of the cast. The movie maker, or the person that makes the movie happen is the military, because they created the dream scenarios.
Not Elon Musk.
No. And then Matt Damon.
Kind of brilliant too, why they created it, so that they could, actually have combat training without having to worry about injuries.
Yeah, it's good. And then what movie are you, similar vein to what Terry said, but I will go with Michael Caine because he's in like every Christopher Nolan movie.
Every one of them. Yep, that's
It's like,
a good point.
okay, we get it. He's a teacher. We get it.
Zach, tripod of depravity, stickman, douchebag, most punchable face.
Okay, douchebags. I'm going to have a co-douchebag award winner, and I'm going with Dom and Maul because I think they're kind of shitty parents. Terry and Adam, you have kids. In your fantasy world, it just involves never seeing your kids for 80 years. That's the fantasy world that you want to live in with your spouse. I think that's a dick thing. You want to be around your kids, especially if he says that he loves his kids so much. And I think they're just kind of shitty parents in general. Like, come on. Okay, punchable face. I think we're gonna go with. I think I actually wrote something down for this. I don't know. I thought the TSA agent had a little bit of an attitude. Welcome home. Come on, douchey. And then what's the other one? Stickman.
Stickman.
Stickman. Not a lot of options in this movie, mostly because there are no women in the movie. Well, like 2.5. I'm gonna go Mr. Charles. Mr. Charles, he's not so much of a stick man. He's very smooth. He's probably more of a wingman than a stick man, if you know what I mean.
Stick man is Cobb because he says that he went deep before. So
Went deep.
he went deep last night.
Yeah. An animal. She fucks like an animal.
Douchebag is Maurice Fisher because he's he's dying, I guess, but he's old. He's an old
crazy
douchebag.
old Maurice.
And most punchable face is Arthur because it's JGL and he kind of always has a punchable face. He has a couple of those looks that he gets in like 500 Days of Summer where you just kind of want to punch him. So you go for it.
My stick man is Arthur here because he tries to he's like, kiss me, and it's like, oh, it's worth a shot. And his character's rather stiff. A douchebag here. What would happen? Oh,
here he's wheezing over there.
His character's rather stiff. Really, that's what makes him a stick man. That's what you're going with. Okay,
that was the wordplay. Anyway, he got a kiss. He put a move on. She respected him for it. Anyway, douchebag, probably Browning. That's what I have there. And then punchable face, probably kids on the phone.
Kids on the phone.
Yeah.
All right. My stick man is Tom Hardy. It's Eames because like he can transform into whatever he wants to try and get what he wants. Like for a second there, Saito was like partially interested until I realized it was Eames.
Yeah.
Douchebag, yeah, it's Pete Postlethwaite in this. And you said until you realize the last scene doesn't exist. It's a figment of his own imagination that they've planted there. It's the actual Inception. Actual Pete Postlethwaite is a massive douchebag. And most punchable face is Tom Berenger. Because, yeah. Like he just kind of looks pathetic in this movie. You're like, this is the guy from Platoon, really? This is the catcher from Major League? And now he's this. That's just kind of best scene.
Oh, okay. I think the actual best scene is probably the hallway fight thing where it's just kind of spinning on its axis. And that's probably the most iconic image of the movie, other than maybe the top. But that scene is just still awesome to watch. And that was the scene that I kept thinking about Tenet when I was watching it. But yeah, it's still really cool. And apparently he did basically all of his own stunts in that, which is awesome. Like it's probably the coolest part of his character is that he actually did his own stunts.
Yeah, the spinning hallway sequence is what I was kind of, for the Inception scene anyway. I think that is pretty dang awesome. But I also like when you got their first experimenting with like the physics of the world. So the entire world streets are like kind of going over each other, and he's warning cops like, you gotta calm down. And and then they go over the bridge and they're like, never create real places. I don't care if that whole sequence, that dream sequence with Ariane and Cobb is awesome. So
Yeah, that's good. I was thinking that one too. I'll go with I love the scene in the vault with Cillian Murphy and Pete Postlethwaite. That's just such a great scene, and it's what the whole movie was about. Is could they make that scene happen? And they did. So yeah, I love that one.
The end sequence, last 5 minutes of the movie, I've already kind of talked about it. I think it's interesting that none of us are mentioning Maul's death scene, and it makes me rethink our Pinot for best death scene.
I never really considered that. You were the one that put that through, I think.
No, I was an advocate for Let Me In, I think. Richard Jenkins.
Someone was like, we got to put in Marion Cotillard. It had to be you. And like, oh, I was like, she's dead like the whole movie. Why are we putting her in the list? And we did it anyways. Is there a scene we missed?
You could say a lot of scenes because it should be a TV show. Like there's so much that you could do episodically with this premise, and it would require actually getting more characters.
It could become a TV show now, and just keep playing with.
I disagree. I'm out on this show after one episode. Give me a movie. Give it to me. I got it. I'm ready to move on. I don't need to see it.
I like how Nolan never revisits outside of Batman. Least interesting character. I always forget about that one. Least interesting character.
Ariadne. I don't think that she provides really anything. She doesn't really do anything other than build it. Why is she actually in the dreams? Like, I mean, she doesn't do anything to make herself distinct.
She says she's in the dream because she's the one person who knows what Cobb could do to the dream. I mean, she's there because she's the audience. If it wasn't for her,
I don't know why does it have to be her. Why couldn't it have been the original guy? So. I mean, it doesn't. I don't think that character is in itself interesting, other than that she's a college student apparently.
But like I said, they needed the one character to be the fresh eyes on it because we have fresh eyes on it. So she's asking all the questions that allow for the exposition to happen.
Is that interesting?
No.
I mean, she's not. Okay, I could see you saying she's not an interesting character because of that, but that doesn't mean she's not an important character.
She's the Kay Adams of the story, and she's a female character that Christopher Nolan writes characters that yell at her and say things like "work faster" and "let me mansplain this." I think there's more depth to her because she's allegedly she picks up the dreams shit faster than anyone else. Apparently, she's a genius. I think she's really underdeveloped. Like, let's give the Ariadne movie. How about
that? Would be an interesting one. All right, so final thoughts. Any conspiracy theories? I got to talk about this. I've been saving this one. So I heard a theory at one point, and I actually paid attention to it for the first time. This time I watched through it. And the theory is, and I have my own theory about it anyway. Also, the theory is, so every time that Cobb like spins the top, right? But the top is Maul's totem. And they say you're not supposed to touch someone else's totem or else or else it loses the point, right? But so that can't be his totem. So what is his totem? And the theory is his totem is his wedding ring. And so I watched for when his wedding ring was on and when it wasn't. And I think I figured it out. I don't think that's his totem, but here's what I think it means. Every time he's dreaming, he's got his wedding ring on, and every time he's not, it's off. What that shows is when he dreams, like his subconscious, his natural instinct is when he goes into a dream, he's still married. And that's why Maul shows up. Because every time he dreams, that ring is still on his finger.
Yeah.
And that's why
Maul's there. That was my
there.
trivia question. Why do you keep dreaming? Because they're still together.
Mm-hmm. Yep. And so the one thing that's funny is it never clearly shows from the moment he wakes up on the plane till the last shot. It never clearly shows his left hand to see if his wedding ring is on it or not. But it doesn't matter because at that point he's moved on from Maul, so it won't be there even if he is dreaming. That's my take on it.
Very interesting. This movie invites a lot of speculation and interesting theories like that. There's also the theory out there that this whole movie is a metaphor for filmmaking, and Cobb is the director, and Arthur is like the assistant director, and there's some speculation about that it's just all about the filmmaking process, which kind of an interesting theory.
I can see that. All right. Anybody else have any other closing thoughts before we go to LVP, MVP, and quote us out?
Jack, his death in Titanic woke him up on the beach. That's a lame theory.
Oh, and Kate Winslet was supposed to play Maul.
Yeah, there we go.
That would have been pretty great.
I think this movie has a strange symbiotic relationship with Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind. Like, I hate to go back to Charlie Kaufman again, but if you think about it, they're kind of either they're the same movie or they're like the exact inverse movies. I can't decide what, but again, it kind of makes me think that we're in, and I'm not saying Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind is a perfect movie either, but where that movie sort of opted for being a little bit more cerebral, being a little bit more whimsy and funny and a little weird, this movie opted for dumb action scenes. And so again, I just think in the recasting of this movie, it should have been a Charlie Kaufman, Michel Gondry collaboration. I think I docked this movie to 3.5 stars. I think it's out of my top 10.
Oh.
I hate to say it. I think Todd's right. I texted Todd earlier this summer that I'm like, you know what? The ceiling for Inception is a little higher than The Social Network. I obviously had issues with The Social Network. Watching it today, I think The Social Network, the problems with The Social Network are not the fault of the filmmakers. It's the fault of our society and our terrible world that we live in. This movie it has problems because of the filmmaker.
All right, let's go. Todd, LVP, MVP.
LVP, I wrote down the PG-13 rating. I just think the movie, as violent as it is, should actually have more blood than just like the random bright red blood it has on Saito when he's like passed out. I mean,
in the snow.
I don't know. You could just try. I mean, I know he's trying to make a shit ton of money and stuff. He doesn't really do R-rated movies except for apparently Oppenheimer when he does full frontal nudity and stuff with his actors. But which I guess maybe this movie needed some of that too. My MVP is Tom Hardy because I think he's freaking awesome in this movie.
Zach.
Yeah, that's a great point about the PG-13 rating. I was even when we were talking about The Long Walk, how violent those deaths are. Compare that to like the deaths in this movie. It's just night and day. My MVP of this movie is Christopher Nolan's first student film that he made, which was called Doodlebug. I show it to my students every year on the first day of class. It's a really cool 3-minute black and white short that he made right out of college. And he made it with Emma Thomas and Jonathan Nolan. And if you watch it, you can see Inception totally in it. It's got sort of the Russian doll thing going on. And LVP of the movie, I guess, would be the scouting coordinator. But maybe they're an MVP too. I just don't understand all the different locations for this movie. Is this a James Bond movie? I know that there's that story about how Robert Altman shot Popeye in Malta because he wanted to just get drunk with all of his crew members outside of the United States and go party on the beach. I don't think that's what Christopher Nolan wanted to do. So I would feel a little shafted if I had to fly to all these places in the world for no real reason whatsoever. Sometimes I don't even know where this movie is. Like, I think it's supposed to be Paris, but maybe it's not Paris. I don't get it.
LVP are zero wins for this movie at the Pinos.
The Pinos. Pinos are the LVP. I like that.
And then MVP, Wally Pfister's cinematography. It's pretty dang good.
My LVP is Yusuf's driving, because like they're even saying in the next level down, it's like, well, Yusuf's driving, so we got about half the time as we were expecting. It's it's not good. It's not good. And my MVP is, of course, Leo's hair and designing it on my haircut. Obviously, that's what they were going for.
I always like the red car they drive up in the Rain City. I thought that it's a great color for a car. I like that car a lot. I don't know what kind of car it is.
Reminded you of Miles' car?
A little bit, yeah. For the third straight week with red cars, too.
There you go. All right. Quote of the day. Let's get to this. Zach, you first.
My quote comes from Paul Thomas Anderson, who says, "Sometimes it's better to confuse the audience for 5 minutes than to let them get ahead of you for 10 seconds. Great quote. And for a lot of Christopher Nolan movies, I feel like he takes that too much to heart. But in this one, I think it's not as bad as his other movies. I don't know how anyone in 2010 could understand the first 15 minutes of this movie. And even watching it today, I was like, I I don't know if I fully understand it either. But unlike his other movies, we don't totally get lost, and I think there's enough good characters in the movie to stick with it.
Yeah, my quote is also from Inception from Cobb. Downward is the only way forward, and it reminds me of this podcast.
This is going
quite a bit.
downhill quick.
Yeah, I wrote down that line too.
So
It's a good
Nice. I'll go next. My quote is, it's from Inception, and it's a quote that Todd needs to remember next time he's sitting at the poker table, because it's when Eames is sitting there and he's playing with his chips, and Cobb comes up behind him and goes, "You can rub them together all you want, you can't make them breed."
that's a good one.
Oh, that was a great line.
Yeah.
That should
All right,
disqualify
Todd,
Eames
think
from being a
about
stick man.
Todd, take us out.
All right. My quote is from my review I wrote of this movie in the summer of 2010. It's the last line I wrote, and it still kind of describes what I think of the movie. I said, "As for right now, it is just a trippy, big-budget blockbuster with a brain, which is all you can really ask for with a film like this. See it and get lost for a while."
I like that. That's good.
That's good.
All right. Well, I mean, that was about as good as I could expect that to have gone. At least we had to stop and pause and talk about Inception for a little while, which we, weren't going to do because we didn't win any Pinots. But thank you guys so much for indulging me, and thank you for listening. We'll be back at you next week with another episode. Until then, have fun watching movies, and we'll catch you on the flip side.
I love silly. I love stupid.